Yo guys, it's Ozgun here. I hope you are doing well. 2 weeks ago I released Warning with Yellow Pvnk, and in this video I like to demonstrate you the project, how I made this collaboration. And before I start to the video, I want to announce that this Friday I will have a new release, new music coming out with Matt Dibble. It's a new collaboration, so I'm so hyped to share this track with you. If you don't want to miss it, just tune into my socials, and if you're ready, let's get into the tutorial. So because this is a collaboration, as you see, I have tons of stamps in the project, but I can still have something to show you, especially in the drop, kick and bass, and the lead. So let's start with the drop. So this was how the drop sounds like. So let's start with the kick and bass. As you see, I have tons of layers to create this kick drum. You see, it's like very beefed up and it sounds very full. And to create this kick, I used those layers. This is actually like a combination of two different kick drums. One of them is this. This is actually a kick drum from my sample pack. But I decided just to get the punch, and for the tail I used another kick. The thing is like that, this kick is pitched up. So when you pitch up a kick sound, even a drum sample, the transients are getting messed up. They don't sound good. So if you're gonna pitch a kick, you should avoid to pitch it completely. You can pitch the tail of the kick, but try not to touch the click and the punch part of it. So in this case, I'm merging two different kick drums, and so the tail is pitched up to fit in the track ski, and we got another, kick. So we can just glue them as a puzzle, and you will get a fresh, new sounding kick drum. So top of this, I got two top kick. I'm just getting rid of the lows. And to give the kick a little bit, air or maybe ambience, I like to layer acoustic kicks like that. So I'm just getting rid of all the, low frequencies, and also I'm just fading it in. So this is just to add some reverb, some air to the kick. And this is just a percussion. And all of the layers sounds like that. So guys, for processing wise, this is very experimental processing. I'm leaving the main kick, just an empty channel in here. All of the other layers are grouped as a mid kick. So in the mid kick channel, I'm using a channel strip to give a little bit more high frequencies for click, giving it some saturation, giving it some low boost. And I think this is doing nothing now, just to monitor it. To beef it up, just to beef the samples up. And I'm merging them with the main kick in another group. And there's processing wise nothing in that group. So because there was too much layers, once I satisfied with the layers, I always render it into a one sound. And that's pretty much it for the kick. So for the bass, again, I have a layer. So for the bass, I'm using Serum. This is my preset in Melodic Techno Academy, just a rolling bass preset. So processing wise, putting a DST and doing nothing, because when you put the DST, this is also just, gain boosting and saturating it a little bit. So I'm on the second distortion module. This is the harder one than the first one. It generates more upper harmonics. So we got EQ just like that to just maintain a little bit of sub frequencies, which I don't use. Some saturation. And we got two EQ. One is a split band EQ, like the sub frequencies of the bass just separating perfectly from the kick. And this is just to add the, the group, the vibe. And in the end, I rendered this into a wave file like that. So this is the kick and bass. And other than that, we have three different ambient sounds beneath the low end. Those are these samples. Just an EQ and sidechain. And this sample also. Again, sidechain and low cut, so they won't interfere with the kick. And all of the low end sounds like that, like full kick bass and the textures. You see, like, if you get the kick bass right, maybe half of the track is already done. So this is the drop lead. So let me show you the original sample. I don't know how Yellow Pvnk processed this, but the original sample was that. But Yellow sent me this stem. So it's totally something else, and I love this drop lead. Yes, I processed it a lot. I needed to fit it to the kick and bass. I needed to make it more bright, more fat. So for processing of the leads, let me show it to you. I'm starting with an EQ, and I'm putting the fresh air. So this plugin adding some, I don't know, probably harmonic saturation to the top end, and it makes it more crisp. If I activate them one by one. So as you see, I was spending too much time on processing. So one by one. You see how it's brought up the upper frequencies. So heat wave also, this is a saturator, and also you can hard clip the output. It becomes so much warmer. And this EQ to boost to 17K just again for adding the upper frequencies, because this sounds like a filtered, in the original sample. So we needed to regain on the top end. A little bit saturation. So again, this is for just boosting the top end. Some delay. OTT and isotope trash. So this SSI Fusion is stereo widening plugin. This plugin is boosting the side frequencies, and in this case I give the space knob, so it's just make the sound much more wider. And other than that, we got the reverb, but this is just for automating in the gaps. Because sample itself already has reverb inside of it, so I didn't need to put another reverb, but I just put a reverb to fill in the gaps. If you go to the next channel, filter for automation purposes, beat crusher for automation purposes, endless smile for automation purposes, track spacer, probably something was clashing with the leads, I don't remember now. I think this is for second drop, to separate this sound from another sound. Some other EQ, this time to make it fit to the mix. Clipping the signal, putting fusion transformer. This is transforming the sounds something like more analog vibe, I can say that. And we got sidechain. So yeah, very heavy processing, but it works. In the end, I thought this sample wasn't enough actually by its own. So I decided to layer one more pluck. So I'm routing this sound also with the same channel with the other lead. This only has an EQ, reverb, delay, stereo widening, and some reverb. So with this, I think both samples sounds very complementing each other. This is so subtle, barely hearable, but it's doing so much job in the drop. So with the low end and the leads, they sounds like that. So those are the drums. As you see, we got some percussions and like hi-hats, rolling hi-hats, drums. We got the rides in here, we got some claps, some percussions. And other than that, fills, some, one-shot synth shots. And let me play the full drop without the leads so you can hear the background sounds. So when the drop ends, we are automating the project tempo, jumping to like 97, something like that. And we are gradually coming back to 138, like the original BPM. We also had some struggles because when Yellow sent me the project, the stem files, so he already applied this tempo automation in his project. But the problem is when the tempo is automated in here, my stems in the second drop after tempo automation is finished, wasn't fitting to the grid. So he sent me a new stem file from his project without tempo automation. So I did the tempo automation inside of the stems. So actually this is not practical, and so because I'm doing it with a real-time stretching with the stems I have, the quality is not actually as good as, doing it from the Yellow's project, but this was the only solution we could come up with. So let me play the break for you. And honestly, as I said, I didn't do anything to the break. I just put some filter automations, just some volume automations, and I think that's all. So very powerful second drop. Let's jump to the second drop because as I said, other than just some rough, EQing or saturation or rough mixing. I didn't do anything to the break or anything to the build-ups. I work on the drops of this track. So in the second drop, we actually didn't have this lead in the first idea, and we thought we need something fresh in the second drop. So at that time, Lister sent me his techno kick pack. And in this kick pack, there's a lead loop, just like that. So it's already a nice sick sound. All I needed to do is just process it and, EQ it a little bit and maybe just automate some stuff to make it fit to the track. Because I love how this loop sounding like, and I thought it would be a perfect fit to the track. Here's my processing to it. Of course, I pitch 500 up and make it fit to the BPM of the track. I process it a lot. This is like the dry of it, as you see. So let me put the processing one by one. Starting with an EQ, cutting most of the frequencies, putting a DST to saturate it, putting another saturator. Those are for automation purposes. This one is for automation purposes again because I'm automating the endless smile and the beat crusher and the filter at the same time to, getting the transition effects. Putting a reverb. Isotope trash, another EQ. And OTT, standard clip, one more EQ. So if you want to use the loop like that, but if you want to make it fit to the track, you gotta make sure this loop is moving and acting according to other sounds in your track. For example, my first drop lead in the second drop doing something like that. So as you see, it's pitching it up. So at the same time, I pitch the second drop lead as well. Then they have the same movement, and this one doesn't sound like a loop, a pre-made loop anymore. It sounds like it fits to the track. And again, in the transitions, activating the, endless smile, the filter, the beat crush effect with the pitch automation itself. And we got the reverse sounds in the gaps. So yeah, this is how we come up with the second drop idea. Okay, let's talk about mastering before I end the video. So I got this patcher. It's volume automation and endless smile for the build-ups. So this EQ does nothing. I got a glue compressor going on and then my master EQ. So just boosting 4K and 8K a little bit to color and make the track more in your face. Gulfos, not touching the low frequencies, just adding or decreasing the frequencies in the 200 and upper frequencies. And then I put this Bristol bass. This is one of the analog channel simulators. So it's just adding some analog touch, that feeling, that machine feeling. I'm using this plugin a lot in the masters recently. I have a clipper, just clipping a little bit on the hard clip mode, just a little bit. I'm doing most of the stuff inside of the Ozgun. I'm using an exciter. So this exciter doesn't doing anything to the low bands, but in the upper bands, in the retro mode, I'm just boosting a little bit. So you can think like that. I'm adding multi-band saturation to the master. After that, I'm using this imager. So I'm not doing this recently, maybe time to time, but in this track I did make the low end completely mono And then the top end, a little bit more stereo. This is just a subtle touch. And finally, with the maximizer, I boost the track until I'm getting -6, -7 RMS value. As you see, it's like -6 RMS, which is very loud compared to the industry standards, and that's enough for me. So yeah, I like to make loud tracks as everyone. So yeah guys, this is pretty much it for the track, at least the track in my project. So thanks a lot for the support that you show to the track, and don't forget I have another release coming out this Friday. Don't forget to check it out on my socials. Today that was it guys. See you on the next video. Bye bye.